So let's do another one today. And I kind of wanted to discuss two two topics that I think would make for a fun, like, Foro's gonna run his mouth on a stream. And somebody brought up a really good question about the accuracy on the last stream. And I figured, what's up, Frankie? I figured I could share my thoughts on the whole accuracy thing again, but actually use a visual aid. Um, and then I want to talk. I want to share, okay, my thought process for accumulating runes and managing rune inventory. Because I think that would make for a fun share. Um, not that, like, I am the expert on accuracy. you know, I don't work for ComToUs, and I haven't gone in here and done 9,000 million tests. So my thoughts on accuracy are based off of extensive play, and I do think I have a very firm understanding of mathematics enough to be able to give, like, a general guideline to how the accuracy roll works. Okay, and then I think I've been accumulating runes long enough and runing up monsters where I'm definitely not an expert on runing, but maybe I can get out here and just share the way that I accumulate and manage rune inventory, and somebody might have a little takeaway from that. But first, we gotta use a wing or two here. What in the world? See, this is so gonna try to prevent the crazy, like, Lucian stuff with the Nemesis Aerial. This is begging. This is begging to get bombed. It says bomb me, bro. So let's do a couple of wings, and then I'm gonna paint. We should paint on a stream because paint would be fun. Okay, so we're gonna take off the wheel rune, and we're gonna buff attack, and we're gonna pray the bombs land. Oh no. Okay, get. Okay, well, not the greatest, but should we do this move? I think we should do this move just to do it. Yeah, dude, Sierra would be nice. Sierra would be nice, but I kind of want to use more violent procs. 1, 2, 3 violent procs. What in the world? Like, this was gonna go well, and then just a little too much randomness happened. But I'm gonna fight it out just to see what it does. Two violent procs on the Ritesh and one resist on the Artemal. That's that's pretty wow. Okay. We don't have a chance now. Would that work, or is that just not bombable? He's got a lot of hit points on those dudes. He's got a whole lot of hit points on those dudes. Was it just randomness, or is that whole strategy flawed? You know? I don't know. Let's run it back, and let's see if it is randomness. Because I'm thinking, like, okay, if we don't miss quite so many bombs, we missed 2 bombs, and then if Ritesh doesn't get 2 violent procs, we might be no. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't think this is bombable with this setup, because he's gonna get more violence and more revenge, and Artemal's gonna stay alive and pop heals on people. Wow. Wow. So what do we do against this? Do we just, like, do we Lucian it? Or do we bomb it and let the Artemal stay alive and bring extra attack? I don't know. That's a fun little fight right there. I always love Artemiles. He comes up with fun stuff to put on his defense. What would happen if we just straight up tried to nuke his brains out? He would get 9 million counters and probably still kill us. And we wouldn't have enough. I don't know. Let's just play around with it, see what it does. Then let's talk about accuracy. Bonjour. Okay, so obviously the aerial is on Nemesis, so that when we do this, he heals up everybody, right? Okay, and that's what makes this defense, really good. Okay, but do we have enough push to get him? Probably not. Maybe so. Why is it that every time I think to myself, "Ooh, I'm gonna do something cool," the steady team is what works. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Okay, so we got to. He's already healed one time. Can we kill him before he heals again? Or should we just put heal block on this guy? We should just put heal block on this guy. Yeah. I think we'll be okay. Oh goodness. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Okay, so we're gonna paint. We're gonna paint, and we're gonna talk about accuracy for just a second. GZ Artemiles. That was fun. What's this guy doing? Let's leave him alone and get on topic here for a second. Okay, so all right, let's try this out. Ready? Let's try a scene change. Jew Bagel got Artemal. I'm excited. I don't want Artemal. Like, he's nifty and he's cool and all that. I don't want Artemal. I want Dark Horus. I want what is it? Was it Amudot? Scene change. Will it work? I think it's working. I think it's working. We're gonna paint. We're gonna paint. So accuracy versus resistance. I kind of ran my mouth about this in the last stream. But maybe I can put up a visual aid to kind of explain the way I believe the role works, okay? So let's say, like, can we make a dot? Can we like home? Can we go to home? Can we make dots? Can we draw? Okay, so let's say every time there's a roll, okay, like your monster goes to attack whatever other monster or do whatever move and apply an effect, there's always going to be somewhere around a 15% chance that you're going to miss applying your effect, okay? And then no matter what, there's always going to be somewhere around, say, like a 15% chance on the higher end of the roll that you're going to land your effect. And so what does this mean? Every time you roll, it's just like random, okay? Are you going to roll near the bottom? Are you going to get below a 15 on your random 0 to 100% roll, and is it gonna miss? Or is there a chance you're going to get somewhere between like an 85 and 100, and are you going to automatically land that debuff? Okay, so there's always this chance that no matter what, you're going to miss and you're going to hit. Okay, now what if you roll a 20 out of 100? Okay, so let's say you roll a 20 out of 100. That means you land in here. Okay, now if you land in here, then the game decides, okay, we need to take a look at the accuracy of your monster, and we need to take a look at the resistance of your target. Okay, so if you roll really low, you're going to miss no matter what. If you roll really high, you're going to hit no matter what. If you roll in the broad spectrum middle line here, then the game decides, okay, let's take a look at your accuracy. And then everything in this little middle part right here scales based on what the target's resistance is and what your accuracy is. So let's say you roll a 30, right? Which means that you didn't automatically miss and you didn't automatically land. Your roll is in the middle, okay? And let's say you have 100% accuracy and your target has 0% resistance. Well, that means you, from that point, you're going to have like an 85% chance after that roll to land your, 100% chance after that roll to land your debuff, right? And let's say you have 0% accuracy and your target has 100% resistance, and you roll like a 50. Well, that still means that you're going to be right here on the bottom of the little spectrum of whether or not it's going to land, right? It still means that your odds of landing that debuff are going to end up being really low. So this is my best attempt at visual aid here. Every time you go to apply a debuff, there's, say, a roll from 0 to 100. And if you're below a 15, you're going to miss no matter what. If you're above 85, you're going to land no matter what. And if you roll between like 15 and 85, then the game is going to compare your accuracy versus the target's resistance, and your chance of landing or missing is going to scale in between there. Things to consider: if you have a glancing hit, okay, then you're gonna miss. Okay, glancings don't land debuffs. And if you have a crushing blow, like say you have an elemental advantage against your target and you have a crushing blow, I'm pretty sure that the game gives you a little bit of bonus to whether or not you're gonna land your debuff. Okay, now are these exact numbers? No. I have not ran 9 million tests and busted out Excel spreadsheets. Could this be like, 10% on each side? It possibly could, okay? But this is how the roll works. I know that beyond a shade of doubt. Well, what does it mean? At the end of the day, even if you pump accuracy up to 100, you're still going to miss a certain percentage of the time, okay? And even if you have 100% accuracy, there's a chance that your target is going to have 100% resistance, and then your odds of landing is always going to end up right around in here anytime you roll in here, okay? So think of it this way: if I take a Beretta with 100% resistance into TOA hard, and all the monsters have 100% accuracy into TOA hard, and all the monsters have 100% resistance, every single time I roll between a 15 and an 85, it's always going to be a 50-50 chance of whether or not I land the debuff or not. Say I have 100% accuracy, and all of my targets have 0% resistance. Every time I roll between a 15 and an 85, there's always going to be an 85% chance I'm going to land my debuff. So this is why there's conversation in the background of Summoner's War for everything over 85% accuracy is a waste. Is pumping accuracy over 85 a waste? No. But because of this scale here, there are diminishing returns. You know, what's the most important thing to landing a debuff? The skill tooltip, right? Because you don't even get the chance to roll if your skill tooltip doesn't give you a 100% chance to land the debuff. Element, right? Because if you're not glancing and you're doing crushing blows, you're going to have more of a chance to actually get this roll in here to land your debuff. So accuracy and resistance are important, and there are certain situations to use them in. But if you're thinking to yourself, should I pump accuracy to 100 or should I get more speed? Give more speed, you know? Should I pump accuracy above 70 or should I get more hit points? Get more hit points. So yeah, that's the that's me doodling. Big smiley face. I'm gonna try my best not to draw penises and stuff. That's me doodling on stream to try to do a visual aid for accuracy. I hope somebody out there maybe kind of finds it semi helpful or useful, right? It's not about the exact numbers. It's about understanding how the roll works so you understand when and when not to rune a monster, you know, with really high accuracy, right? When do you rune a monster with really high accuracy? When you need a unit, say like Spectra, to do his job in TOA hard mode, right? When you need a monster like Beretta to do his job in TOA hard mode, you know? Or maybe you got like a Dragons team and you're using a Megan and you need that Megan to strip that debuff. You might pump her accuracy really high. For a long time I used to run like 95% accuracy on my Megan way back in the day when she was like a staple for Dragons farming. Other than that, you know, like bombers, you know, you need those bombs to land. If you don't land them, then you know you're gonna lose, as we saw. So that's a scenario where you might put extra weight into accuracy. But your other monsters that you want for like contributions overall, you go mid range, right? Like my R5 units that we showed. Stella is 66. Hua is 55. Diaz is 63. Colleen, I wish she was a little bit higher, but she's 32. Right? Kung Fu Girl has crap for accuracy, 6%, you know? Even with 6% accuracy, those debuffs, those negative effects, they're going to land because of the way that this works. Uh-oh. Because of the big smiley face and because of Foro's explanation for how accuracy versus resistance works. So yeah, I hope it's useful. That's my best job to explain how it works. Okay. So I'm gonna wax estatic about one more fun topic here. Okay. Like what is the deal? What is the deal with how I accumulate and how I manage runes? I've had this question asked a whole bunch of times. Okay, and I think I can explain simply the way I do things, and maybe somebody gets a takeaway from it. Okay, so as far as accumulating runes, okay. Step 1, farm, and accumulate. Okay. I always make sure I have rune space so that I know if it's a hard week at work, if I'm busy with life, I can keep the farm going and I don't have to worry about rune space. Okay? So, more aptly put, I farm and I grab and I do the thinking and the calculating later, like specific reserved times. Okay? So, I will farm for a week, and then I won't touch runes, I won't touch grindstones, I'll just leave everything alone, and I will amass things, and then one particular time, whenever I find some downtime, it's usually on the weekends, maybe like on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, or sometimes, crack late at night, I sit down and I do the managing. Okay? I will delete stuff, sell stuff, put enhanced grinds on things. I never think to myself, oh no, I'm farming after this one specific rune. I need to have it, and I go farm after it. And if I get that rune, then I make changes. No, I just farm and farm and farm. If I see something that I like, I grab it. I go stick it away. And then maybe one time a week or twice a month, then I go in there and I do organizing and such. Okay. Now, how to manage space, and a little bit on what I find, is my philosophy for what I keep and what I sell, right? As far as what I keep or what I sell, the main takeaway, the main thing to keep in mind is slot 5 is really hard to come by. Okay? Even if you've been farming runes for like ages and ages and ages, slot 6 rather. Slot 6 is really hard to come by. And there was a time in the game when I was selling slot 6 stuff when maybe I shouldn't have. And at the end of the day, when it comes time to like try to make some runes for a monster, you really want to have some options for that top left slot. And Comtuous is really stingy on that top left slot. And so the things that you might sell in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you might do a double take and hold on to and store when it comes time to have your top left slot, right? So, for example, this one right here, right? Oftentimes, you might hold on to something in this slot when you would for sure sell it in any other slots. Because if you're not intelligent with this slot right here, then there's going to come a time when you're going to want to make a specific rune set and you're not going to have like the stats that you need. So more often than not, if it's not like the most brilliant rune in the world in these slots, I'll sell it. But this one, anytime that slot drops, I'm always doing a double take and thinking to myself, is it something that I might use? My quality standards for runes goes down on this slot quite a bit. And this slot is always what ends up getting the little grindstones to swap out stats, because it's tough to come by, So what do I do in terms of like accumulating runes? I accumulate, and if I'm running low on space, what I'll do is I'll go into storage and I'll just start grabbing stuff and sticking runes on it, For example, good old Amen here, he's got a wheel rune that has crit rate and speed, right? Is this something that I wanted to hold on to? Yes. Do I want to leave space in my rune inventory for it? No. So it just kind of it goes, like I stick it on a monster so that I have space, so that I can move on and continue the farm train. So there is a great deal of like 5-star monsters sitting in here that might have like runes stuck on them because, hey, I want a vampire rune with speed and accuracy and a crap ton of hit points and crit rate. I love that rune. That's an amazing rune. But I'm not going to be building anything with it anytime soon. And if I am going to build something with it, I'm going to sit down on a special day where I have the time to go back and grab it if I need to. I don't need it sitting in my inventory. So what do? I say, hey, that's an awesome rune. I want to have that one day. And I go stick it on a random monster and leave it alone until like rune removal. Or leave it alone until I want to make a rune set. Okay, now, do you ever keep resistance as a main stat? There was a time, yes, okay? There was a time in progression where I kept resistance and I got some use out of it. Do I keep it now? No. Why? Because of this right here, guys. No matter how you cut it, okay, resistance is awesome and it's good to rune, but there's just so few scenarios where you need to max it up, you know, and it's so tough to find resistance runes that are worth keeping, you know. The exception would be like speed, you know, like maybe you're farming for speed sets, right? And you got a swift rune that has like plus 20 speed on it and its resistance, go for it, right? But accuracy and resistance runes, I really don't hold on to them too much unless they're absolutely godly, you know, or they have like some crazy speed sub that I need, right? This is probably the only accuracy rune that I use right here, because it's got like the right stats and speed that I wanted for Poseidon, and the way that I use him, I want his accuracy up there, okay? Because the difference between him landing his effect and him missing his effect is the difference between a win or a loss on AO. So philosophies for how I actually do the runing, okay? So we've established the fact that I just farm, don't think, just grab. If I need space, I start throwing stuff on random monsters. But as far as like how I do rune sets, right? I prioritize. Can we erase? Can we erase? Let's go do another Dragon's Run real quick. Let's see here. How do we? Can we just make a new one? We can just make a new paint. There we go. Let's just make a new paint. Foro draws, take 2. Okay, so I prioritize number 1. What do I need for PvE? Right? I ask myself this question. What do I need to get loots? Okay? This is always the number 1 question that I ask myself when I'm thinking about ruining a monster. Okay? Because the way I think about it is, if I'm not getting loot, then I'm not getting awesome runes. Okay? So the priority always goes to the PvE content, the dungeon farming teams. So what's an example of this, right? We've seen this dragon run a couple times, right? I've shown it on the stream a whole lot. Over a year and a half ago, well over a year and a half ago, I sat down and I was developing a Dragons team when I got Verd. And I thought to myself, how do I want to rune him? What's the rune set I wanted to make? How do I want to make it? I went into my inventory and I made this rune set that's like double revenge nemesis. Okay? And I thought to myself, I want him to have 100% crit rate. I want him to have good HP so he's not dying. And I don't need accuracy. Accuracy is a total freaking waste. And so I sit down and I go into my rune inventory and I design the set for a purpose. Okay? And this purpose was to farm dragons. It was to get loot. Okay? This rune set I have had on Verd for over a year and a half and has never been touched. Never taken a rune off, never made any tweaks, because that's the philosophy I apply. I think to myself, what do I need to get that loot? I prioritize that, I make the rune set. And then the bonus is when it's time to do things like arena, PvP, Guild Wars, or go into other dungeon content, I've always found that, hey, this dude that works really well for getting loot actually has a use in arena or something. And that's the philosophy I apply. So I guess we could say on step 2, I always think to myself, or this is what happens. Hey, let me type this. Hey, I can use that for this awesome arena / Guild Wars / something else team. You'll have to forgive me. I'm just having fun typing. I need something else to do besides like typing on the phone. Okay, so that's always been something that's happened. That's always been something that's happened in Summoner's War life. Okay, well, what's an example? I don't know. There's like this wind beast rift, right? And I have this wind rift team that I've been using because it puts up pretty good consistent scores. And did I design Verd for this team? No. I didn't design Verd for this team. I followed the step 2 that always happens in Summoner's War, and I figured out, oh wow, Verd's really useful here. Same thing for like arena and guild battles, right? It started with, I need to craft this very specific set to get loot, and then it had an evolution that was, hey, I can use Verd on arena offense against these types of setups, and it works really, really well. Okay, and that's something that can apply to everybody across the board in Summoner's War, right? Another brilliant example of it is Briand, right? Briand is an example of a great monster that you can rune specifically for a team. In my case, it was Dragon's B10 way back in the day. And then all of a sudden, that Briand that I was using to farm Dragon's B10, right? Because he was my reviver. He's what allowed me to go left tower, right tower, middle. And Briand always revived. I built him specifically just to sit there and tank in Dragon's B10 and revive so I could auto it left tower, right tower, middle way back in the day. And then he became the most bloody useful guy in arena. He became super, super useful in Guild Wars. He became ultra useful in Hall of Heroes, right? So when it comes time for me to manage runes and manage rune inventory, I'm always prioritizing sitting and making that rune set based on what do I need to get my loot. Okay? And then the evolution of that is, hey, I can use this guy elsewhere. Right? Because you can always play around and use your PvE units in Guild Wars and Arena and other aspects of the game and do really well. The fault that happens a lot of times is when you don't follow that philosophy and you're crafting and making like your absolute brilliant best rune sets on monsters that you think are going to give you like the best performance in Arena or Guild Wars, and you ignore your monsters that are going to get you your loot. Okay, so me personally, I have just always found it to be a better philosophy to apply what do I need to get loot first, and then have fun messing around with those PvE units in Arena and Guild Wars and stuff like that. Okay, then step 3. What happens on step 3? Well, take leftovers and use them. Okay? And what do I use them for? I think to myself, after I have established what I most certainly need on lockdown to get my loots, I think to myself, what kind of team unit am I making? So what does this mean? Okay, so I prioritize the PvE stuff. I have fun with the PvE stuff and other settings, and then and only then do I take the leftovers and then move on to, hey, I want to make a fun team. Okay. What's an example of this? When this run finishes, we'll show a few examples. I like this team. It needs a few tweaks. I can use Raok in here in place of Beretta, and it crazy puts up triple S so many times, but sometimes it fails. And I go with Verd because it's a little safer, it's a little less damage and groggy, but it avoids the A plus runs more often than not. But I still want to work on this team a little bit. I want Perna. Can I have Perna? I want Perna, Amudot, and the Water Desert Queen. Perna, Amudot, Water Desert Queen. That would be nice. Then I could just not have any monsters. You can have your Water Fairy Queens. So there was a time in this game where I thought to myself, I want a specific team to do a specific something, right? I got Tiana. I got really lucky. I got Tiana. How am I going to use Tiana? I go to myself, after I've done this and this and this, I think, okay, what kind of team units do I need? And then I start using the runes, okay? And I guess like a team like this would be a good example. At some point, a long time ago, I thought to myself, hey, I have Tiana, and I have the Dark Samurai, and I have Galleon. Let's try to make a cleave team. Okay? And so we take the runes that we have that aren't on our PvE monsters that we need to get the best loots in the game, and we use those runes, and we specifically design a PvE team to do something specific. And in this case, this bugger's just going to get a whole bunch of violent procs and be a goober. And he's gonna poo poo all over our fun should we do this move? I don't think we need to do that move. We should put armor break on him. No. Oh. Now I'm sad. Because they got too many violence. That's an example of one team. Okay? There's other teams, right? Like the Lucian setup, right? At some point, I thought to myself, I want this team to do this specific thing, okay? And I ruined the monsters accordingly. I don't necessarily rune a monster to rune a monster. I think to myself, what am I trying to do? What's that team I'm trying to make? And I make the runes, okay? And this is something that everybody should do, okay? You don't, there's very few monsters in this game. You just think to yourself, oh, that's a cool monster. How should I rune it? It's a little better to think to yourself, what team am I trying to make, and then design those runes, right? Like in this case, this is a team we use often, right? And Alicia has 2 fight sets, right? And a very specific speed tuning, okay? Megan has a fight set and very specific speed tuning, and these Lucians are rune to have a specific amount of speed and a specific amount of crit. And when I rune these guys, oftentimes I'm runing them as a unit. I'm sitting down on that Saturday and I'm going through the inventory and I'm thinking, okay, I need to build this entire team. And when I do that, I go in here and I take a look at the storage and I think to myself, okay, what random rune might I have left over, you know? What rune is sitting here on this unit to be used that I have just kind of like stashed away, you know? And that pretty much is my philosophy for the priorities for runes and how I manage space. It's always try to keep around like 30 to 50. And if I'm getting a little low, then it's time out to like rune a monster or put some enchants on people. But that's only like a once a week sort of thing. Or I just go in here and I think to myself, okay, what's some random runes and let's just throw it on people. And then when it comes time to rune a monster, I sit down and I make a team. Like what we put up on the stream yesterday, right? We made this team. This is probably like the most recent team I've made. And when I rune these guys, I didn't go in here and I didn't gut my I didn't take runes off of my PvE monsters. I didn't take runes off of things that I need for farming content. And I didn't sit down and say, I need to rune this one specific monster. No, I sat down and thought, okay, how is this team going to work? What speed do I need people at? And went in there and grabbed runes, pulled runes off of monsters in storage, and just made the rune set. You know? And so I'm not thinking to myself, how can I eke out the most stats, right? How can I make this monster the most brilliant? No, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what team do I use this guy in and what speed do I need him to be at? Or what amount of crit rate do I need him to be at? And my sincerest apologies for like waxing ecstatic about these specific topics. But I was kind of in the mood today to share. And I thought those 2 topics would be a fun thing to share, and we should have more opportunities to draw funny things on paint. How good am I at drawing a heart? Can I draw a heart? I heart the world. for listening to me ramble with a smiley face. Jacob, I love the wind. I love the wind barbaric king. I wish I had skill ups for him, man. I wish I had skill ups for him. I wish I had more runes. And the more time I get, I'm gonna have more fun coming up with combinations for him. But I love him because he brings life to these units that have damage that scale with attack and speed, right? Like Theo or these dudes, right? That's why I love him. And he's really great if you're looking to make like a light team for these rifts. He'd be really awesome for this light beast, and he's pretty darn good for the ice beast too. Pretty neato guy, and the stats on him are just amazing. He's just got an absurd amount of attack, hit points, and defense and speed. It's just the base stats are just godly for a 4-star monster. I don't get the question, Ender. If they made an American server, would you switch to it? I don't know. To answer that question, I would say I would go where my community goes, right? If my community is on the Zimbabwe server, I'm gonna have to be on the Zimbabwe server. Okay, that's the way that that's the way that I play a game. But yeah, I'm gonna come back tonight and let's do a little goof around rush hour stream because I want to see what this defense is gonna do. I'll put this defense in for today, and we're gonna let it run. We're gonna let it run through rush hour, and I want to see how it performs during rush hour. And so we'll have a fun rush hour evening stream around rush hour time, and I will go in here and I will just try to like nuke people, rush hour Foro style, and I want to gauge how Swift Will Orion and this crazy Monkey King and this mechanic of having a Nemesis healer and a Nemesis Despair Stunner and then some protection against bombs and stuff. I want to see how that'll work out. So thanks everyone for listening to me wax ecstatic. I hope there's like a small takeaway from the conversation about accuracy and my thoughts for rune management and stuff. And we'll see you guys late tonight during rush hour.